Welcome to this explainer. Look, we're going to do something a little bit different today, and honestly, it is incredibly fascinating. We're going to zero in on one highly concentrated, super brief piece of text. Seriously, from just a single line, we're going to unpack a massive, industry-defining concept all about Jackie Chan's totally unique vision of film fighting. We are looking right at that exact space where cinematic illusion hits the cold, hard ground.
Okay, so here it is. This is our exact, unedited source text, typos, and the whole shebang. Why Jackie Chan called Kung Fu Master reality. Now, at first glance, I know, it might look like a frantic late-night search query, but I want us to look a bit closer here and really treat this as a raw, cinematic enigma. Because in just 8 words, this phrase literally captures the entire essence of a cinematic revolution. It doesn't just state a fact, right? It actually presents this deep philosophical riddle about how action is portrayed on screen.
So to really wrap our heads around this, we need to isolate the competing ideas packed into this single sentence. The text sets up this really deep structural tension. It takes these completely distinct concepts and shoves them right next to each other, basically forcing our brains to reconcile them. It's not just asking a question, it's presenting a full-blown thesis about the very nature of screen combat. By stripping away all the usual background noise, this tiny bit of text forces us to confront the core dynamic of his specific style of action choreography.
Notice how the text kicks off simply with the word why. Just like that, boom, we're turned into detectives. It isn't just handing us the answer on a silver platter, it's prompting us to question the very nature of this title. It asks us to look way past the flashing lights and all that movie magic and ask ourselves, what is it about this specific performer that earned him this complex, seemingly contradictory label? That why is absolutely the engine driving this whole exploration.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the core conflict of our source material. On one side, we've got the mythos and expectation of a kung fu master. On the other, we have the grounded execution of reality. This isn't just a comparison, guys. It's a full-on tug-of-war. For decades, cinema kept these two concepts completely separated. You either had the magical, untouchable master, or you had gritty, unpolished reality. Our text suggests that Jackie's vision of film fighting somehow bridges this totally impossible gap.
Now think about it. The term Kung Fu Master conjures some really specific imagery, right? Legendary status, ancient traditions, and a level of skill that borders on the supernatural. In traditional film fighting, a master is basically untouchable. They don't sweat, they don't tire out, and they definitely do not stumble. The Kung Fu Master represents the ultimate cinematic ideal, this flawless, almost mythical archetype that we, the audiences, had been completely trained to expect when we walked into a theater. But then, on the flip side, we have reality. This is the exact word our source text uses to anchor that high-flying mythos right back down to earth. Because reality means gravity actually applies. Reality means punches hurt, furniture breaks, and the environment is completely unpredictable. By throwing reality into the mix, the text highlights the literal, physical truth of execution on screen. It's the sweat, the visible exhaustion, the desperate improvisation that totally strips away the untouchable magic and replaces it with tangible physical struggle.
We can actually break this text down like a giant puzzle into a perfect 3-act structure. First up, step 1, the subject, a totally singular figure in cinema. Then, step 2, the title, the archetype he stepped right into, the Kung Fu Master. And finally, step 3, the anchor, reality. It's literally an entire narrative arc packed into a single phrase. The subject takes on the legendary title, but then, actually, wait, he completely redefines it by chaining it to the uncompromising anchor of reality.
So the crucial takeaway here is how the text forces these two usually opposing concepts to just collide. Think about the impact of that. Mythical mastery smashing directly into grounded reality. That exact collision is what defines Jackie's unique vision of film fighting. It's a style where mastery isn't shown through perfection. No, it's shown through the gritty ability to survive and adapt within a chaotic, painfully real environment. The absolute genius of the source text is how it perfectly mirrors this physical collision with a grammatical one.
So, we've unpacked the tension, the archetypes, and the massive collision packed into those 8 little words. But since our highly concise source material leaves that central, opening why ultimately unanswered, it passes the baton right to us. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. When you strip away the wires and all the movie magic, how does this incredible collision of martial arts mastery and raw, unpolished reality permanently change the way we view film fighting forever? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep questioning what you see on screen.